It is Williams and Blum on a Sunday, the 27th of August, and it is almost kickoff time. The worst off season of all time is behind us, and it's finally game week. We look forward to it, and we're going to have a loaded Cyclone Fanatic just coverage all week long. I can't wait. Let's get after it and start things off with Williams and Blum. Now, real quick, some of the we will have just want to plug you guys for the podcast network this week. So Title IX, they go every other week. They went last week. They will be off this week, but Grant Mahoney and Jeff Woody are going to have like a former UNI player that they know. I don't know the name of them coming in. We'll have football and random things. And then we're going to be doing all of our normal game week stuff. So we're back, baby. We are back. We'll have all of our streaming shows coming up on game day this week. Freaking awesome. Let's get after it. We are presented here on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network, Williams and Blum, by our friends at Mechdyne, the Mechdyne Corporation. I can guarantee you that Mechdyne and all those great Iowa Staters that work there are fired up for this one, just game week in general. So we appreciate them, and they are the presenting sponsor of Williams and Blum. Mechdyne.com, MECHDYNE.com. I would recommend you go there and potentially they've got all sorts of job openings and they want to recruit Iowa Staters. It's a phenomenal company. I would recommend going and taking a look. We are having a little bit of a issue because some equipment got separated, so I don't have headsets at my house. So Blum and I are doing this podcast remotely, which actually is probably a good thing for some because we are on YouTube as well. So if you wanted to watch the show, you can go to the Cyclone Fanatic YouTube page and find us. The only thing is, Brent, we're not going to have like our fancy music and stuff, which is going to be an issue when Yakety Sax time comes up at the end of the show. I'm sorry.
I waited 10 months for the sax, and you leave me hanging. Thanks.
We had
I even brought Ames,
equipment issues and
Ames Lager and everything. Whoa,
hey, I wore my Ames Lager shirt just for you.
Weekend. It's been a good weekend. Cheers.
How much of that stuff are you selling? By God.
A lot of it.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. There was a point this weekend where I logged on Twitter and I was like, would you people please quit posting pictures of Ames Lager? Like, I get it. I understand what we're doing here. This is guerrilla marketing. It's brilliant on your part. But it's just like every time I open Twitter.
You're mad you were in Vegas and you couldn't get your hands on the golden stuff.
A little bit.
You're drinking Heinekens and that garbage.
I was not drinking Heinekens. No.
I'm just glad you're sober enough to be here today. That's great. You must have had a pretty tame trip.
Yeah, it was a tame trip. Friday night got a little out of hand, but everything was fine. Really, really good to get out there, to be honest with you, because it really got me into football mode. Was Thursday and Friday. So, like, what they did. So, Circa's got this giant ballroom, and they made it like Super Bowl Radio Row. So, there were like 30, 35 media outlets there doing shows, and then just like you just never knew who you were going to bump into. There were a lot of like celebrities and stuff there, and so yeah, it was kind of cool to be a part of that. I'm glad that they asked us. Hassel and I did our show there, and then I did my preseason over under CW pod. If you guys want to listen to that, you can go to Iowa Everywhere feed where I give takes on teams all over the country. It's not just Iowa State, but it was cool, and I wasn't surprised, I guess, in that crowd, but a little bit surprised though how many people were asking me about Iowa State and the gambling situation, and it also was just like one of two things. One, we are in like this total bunker where we just know so much about Iowa State that we're not normal.
Yes.
There's also the aspect where it's just like, God, like there's like some real wrong misperceptions about this whole thing too. Like I'm on bunch of national shows and stuff, and it's just like, oh, well, you lost the running back and you lost the quarterback and a tight end. Like, Iowa State's screwed. They're going to win 2 games. And it's just like, well, they might win 2 games. I don't know. But you're kind of looking past, like, there's a lot of like stuff about this team that, like, that offense sucked anyways. And
Fair.
this defense is, I'm not going to say the defense is going to be better than last year because that's a pretty tall task, but it wouldn't shock me either.
Yeah, I
so
mean, just
I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there.
I agree. Listen to stuff this week. It was very much like, oh, well, just write Iowa State off because they won 4 games last year and they lost 5 starters in the gambling thing when they weren't prepared for it. And it's like, well, technically that is correct. Technically, Iowa State did only win 4 games last year. And yes, there were the 5 starters, including a starting quarterback and running back. And I get it. If this was happening in North Carolina State, you and me would be like, yeah, bury the Wolfpack. Like, absolutely. Oh my gosh, there's no chance. Because nobody follows it. Nobody knows that Iowa State's recruited as well as it has. Nobody knows that Iowa State has a bunch of young guys that haven't played yet that potentially could be pretty good. And they don't also dig into the fact that Iowa State was dead last in the Big 12 in offense with that running back and quarterback. Not even just dead last, Chris. They were dead last by 10 points per game, which is a lot. That is a lot of points and a lot of changes on Iowa State. So, well, yes, this is all technically true. And the surface level thing would be to bury Iowa State before the season even starts. I think if you look a little deeper, there is reason for optimism. And that's why I'm excited for Saturday and this season because, if you give me 2 options, do I want an elite defense or an elite offense that lost a bunch of starters? Give me the elite defense that returns a bunch of guys because it's going to keep me in every game. And then it just comes down to, can you make the small plays happen? And last year did not do that, but everyone's 0-0. Well, I guess there's teams that are 1-0, but you get the point. And Ohio looked very average, by the way, on Saturday. So, I think you
Ohio's
can look at
lost their quarterback for the year.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at this thing and go, man, sure, write Iowa State off. And I saw Iowa State picked 14th by a couple people last week. It's like, okay, I mean, that's right now. Please pick Iowa State last because I think the people in that locker room would prefer it that way for now and ready to show what they have.
Just a heads up, we'll do a lot more on Northern Iowa on Wednesday's show. This is the first year that we've had the Williams and Blum Wednesday. So we're going to try and space things out. Honestly, we're going to be figuring it out as we go. But that we'll do a lot more. I'm just being honest. I haven't learned a ton about Northern Iowa yet. I plan to do that in the next couple days so we can bring it like that. I did give one really quick plug for one of our sponsors here because I think this is important. So we did some pushes for Plaza RV here in Bondurant earlier in the off season. They do have a couple of rentals available for Iowa and Northern Iowa still.
Could I use that service?
Yes, you absolutely could.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have an RV spot, but I don't have an RV, which is kind of a problem right now.
They've got a couple, and they have spots too, I believe, from what I understand. For people who don't have spots, they've got some.
What does that mean? Like, will they set it up for you? Or
yeah, they drive it up there. They set it up for you. They tear it down, and it's a really great service. One of my best friends, Ryan, him and his family are doing it for every game this year. They've already rented their RV from Plaza RV.
Plaza RV might not have a new customer, and that is the We Will Collective.
Well, I wanted to let them know. I wanted to let people know because, like, especially for the Iowa game, I feel like that's, like, tailgating wise, like, if you could have that, like, that's totally worth whatever. 100%. I don't even know what they charge for it, but that is 100% worth whatever it is. So wanted to throw that out there. Plaza RV.
I'll be talking to our guy, Scott. I totally forgot about that, but I need that service potentially.
It's a great service. It's a great service. Somebody listened to this show and they called about renting and they ended up just buying one from the guy. So we appreciate whoever that was. I wanted to throw that out there here at the beginning because I figured that could be. And the other thing I figured we should probably tell people that you can't screenshot your ticket now.
No.
This is a good public service announcement, isn't? Because that to me feels like that could be a problem for a lot of people coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, get your tickets in your Apple Wallet or figure out another or Google Wallet, whatever it is. Supposedly, you'll be able to access it even without internet, although it was a lot easier just to send a screenshot when you're transferring tickets, but have a plan. Long story short, have a plan before Saturday because goodness knows the internet situation is very unreliable. I think supposedly
Yeah.
they've worked on it with some more cell towers, but everybody has a plan until they're punched in the face. We'll see if that cell tower
See,
can hang in there.
trying to think of game week public services here. Uh,
Drink
the Ames
water.
Lager,
Drink water within
the
your
Ames
Ames
Lager
lager.
situation, Brent. I'll tell you, you can get my drink Cody Road about anywhere.
That's a fact.
No, for real. So this thing, like you launched this deal this week, and it feels like it went about as good as it could, right?
Yeah, it was awesome.
People
It was
were like
awesome.
just selling it out all over the state.
And more coming. They're restocking, and again, they literally bought 3 big tanks just to brew. So more coming to Central Iowa Monday. By the time you listen to this, but get on it early. Ames, Central Iowa, Des Moines. It was at all the high Bs, all the fairways, but it was phenomenal. I don't have a number for you exactly how many were sold, but it was pretty cool seeing all the pictures and all the empty shelves of people unable to get it. So it's going to be a huge
You,
impact for us. And I'm telling you guys, I know you might not think it adds up. It really does. It really does. I mean, we're getting a decent amount for every can sold. So if you think about where our budget needs to be, this could really impact things. So tell your friends, even if you don't donate directly to us, if you buy a beer, you buy a cold brew, you buy whatever, it'll add up. So thank you.
I ended up putting a.
You haven't had it yet, though. I got. You
I,
want me to walk one over?
yeah, I'd love that.
Okay.
I have not had one yet. This is all going to come together here in the conversation. So I was thinking about this because I just put together like my final raw thoughts on the team on the premium board before we did this. I wrote it on the plane on the way home today. And one of the things I was thinking about was the amount of freshmen that are probably going to play this year
Yes.
for Iowa State. And I was thinking about it from an NIL perspective. We're not trying to make this an NIL show. We've been accused of that before. It's not the point, but I think it all comes together that when you watch Iowa State on Saturday, there's going to be a lot of people pulling up their phones. Who is that?
Correct.
And that does have an NIL impact down the road. That's not really the part of this conversation, but when it comes to keeping these guys, I think it's a kind of a fascinating thing. But I guess this is where I wanted to go with the conversation, though, Bloom. A lot of freshmen are going to play.
A lot of freshmen. Yep.
Is that good or bad? And I think I could make an argument both ways. Like I'll you want me to bring it right now, and then I'll let you be the deciding factor. Here he goes.
Sure.
Pessimist Chris.
Pessimist Chris.
Coming off of 4-8, really a bad, hard to watch 4-8 where you can't even you can't run for 3 yards. You're turning it over. You're bad on special teams. You know, if you're 4-8 averaging 50 points a game, it's a little more palatable for people. When you're doing it the way they did, where you're just so good on defense, it's honestly it's so maddening. And you come off of that, and now because that was supposed to be the rebuild, and now it's like, well, now we got all these freshmen out there. Now clearly it was a weird offseason with a lot of things that happened. So that's pessimist, Chris, that doesn't bode well for the upcoming season. Optimist, Chris, and this is the one that I like to be. Man, they've recruited really well. You know, this is they were really young last year too, right? They'll be a youngish type football team again. But a lot of these situations where these young guys are coming in, they're beating out guys.
Correct.
It's not a situation where
it wasn't planned that they would. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they are kicking the ass of the veterans, which is a good thing. So again, I can argue it either way, and it's probably a little bit in the middle. Like, it's good because you have all this young talent, and it's going to show at some point. It might be bad because there's probably going to be some a learning curve, as it is when you play freshmen in the Big 12 conference. What do you think about that topic?
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think the NIL plays a part into it because if a guy's ready, you play him now because you don't want to risk him sitting on the bench. And then it's interesting though, because then if you play him though and he's really good, then people see him, which could be an issue down the road. But that's kind of the fear mongering part of it. But I would say, looking at Iowa State, the 5 true freshmen that are going to play and going to play a lot are J.J. Cole, who may or may not start, but he's going to play in the first game. Okay, we can lock that in, that he will play at some point against UNI.
Yeah, our podcast from last week about the quarterbacks is going to happen. We're going to see multiple guys.
They're both. You're probably going to see 3. Probably going to see 3 quarterbacks. You nailed it. You're going to see the Hughes kid at some point in a package of some sort. So Cole, you're going to see Cole. You're going to see Ben Bramer. We've been talking about him for a couple of months now. Big, rangy tight end. Think Charlie Kohler mode. Really skilled guy. Got him from Nebraska at the last second. He's going to be a dude. Okay. And you can't keep him off the field. But C-Dub, that's a position where you're pretty good. So that's not a lack of depth standpoint. This is Ben Bramer came in and has been really good. And then, on the defensive side, you'll have Jack Sadowski come in. He's going to start at the Mike linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
All reports are he came in right away and has been excellent. And you hear the comparisons, and I don't want to be unfair, but you hear the comparisons to Mike Rose, but a little further along than Mike was as a true freshman. And Mike was very productive as a true freshman. And Sadowski is going to come in. There's no question. He will be your starter at Mike. So is that good? I don't know. I mean, he beat out some good guys to get there, though. He had to beat out a Zach Lovett from Missouri. And then you had to move McLaughlin and Willock and Marshall around a little bit. And so I think he's going to be really productive. And then at running back, you're going to see both true freshmen. Both Carson Hansen and Abu Sama will play. Now, is it going to be the situation where they only play them in 4 games? I don't know, but they're both going to play. They've come in and impressed enough. And this is where I look at this, C-Dub, and I'm like, you know what? You could say, hey, 5 true freshmen, what are we doing? That's not good. But then also, you weren't good at running back anyway last year after Jyrell got hurt. Jyrell's not there. So why not give the best man for the job the opportunity? Those 2 guys won't start. I mean, it's going to be Norton's job. Sanders is back. Harris has been fine. But those true freshmen have super high-end ability. And so you see what you have with them. And those 5 guys will play. There's some other ones, too, that might jump in and play on the defensive end. But, I think if you're Iowa State, if the goal is to win as many games as you can, you don't worry about, oh my gosh, this might look bad. And what gives me confidence with the freshman situation is we're not talking about true freshman offense or defensive linemen. I mean, if you look at the interiors of both,
you didn't mention Nagoye either, by the way.
Yeah, and Benny will play. I think there's more depth at receiver than people realize. Who's been good? Remember her name? Aiden Bitter.
Yeah, made that big catch in Kinnick last year.
Yep, he's he actually you might see him just starting. He and Dimitri Stanley are in a really good battle right now. But you've got guys there that they're not in those positions of need where you talk about in the Rhodes era where you have, was it Robbie Garcia playing starting defensive tackle at 260 pounds, or Nick Leaders coming in as a true freshman playing in the Seneca Wallace era. Mm-hmm. You're good interior. Now, I think there are some question marks. The starting center is still a battle between Peterson and Boniface. I think interior are going to be great on defense between Orange and Jan Yedem. So you're going to play some freshmen, but generally anymore, you look about any other Big 12 program, you're going to play 5 to 10 true freshmen. It's just the nature of it. I think we're used to Iowa State where you don't play as many, but that's starting to change because you want to reward these guys if they're ready to play as soon as you can.
Yeah.
And I think we just got to kind of get used to it. It's not a negative. It's a positive that Iowa State's recruited well.
Yeah, well said.
Well, and Chris, and I think, what your national media won't know, and I don't blame them, you still have the best secondary, in my opinion, in the conference. And if you can get enough pressure, now you lose Will McDonald, and I don't think we've really accounted quite for that yet. Like, how do you replace that double team that really freed up some other guys on the defensive line? But that secondary is just really good. So I think they'll be able to cover up from lack of experience at the linebacker spot. So, your Bo Freelers, your Malik Verdons, guys like that. Trevon Howard's come on and had a great camp. I mean, there are numbers back there that can really help in Iowa State's defensive style.
They weren't great at linebacker last year.
They were not. No, I totally agree. And Ryan Vance is really a defensive lineman kind of playing linebacker. He almost got too heavy last year. You're right.
I actually think that Vaughn will be a step up. I think Sadowski, you hope will be a step up from where Reeder was. Reeder just didn't look athletic enough.
Right. He was a little on the slower end. He was productive, but he was just a little slower.
Yeah.
And you get another year of Willick and Marshall and McLaughlin. Like those guys play quite a bit.
I'm really bullish on the defense. Even, you lose Lee, but and no offense it's no disrespect to Isaiah. He played a lot of really good football at Iowa State. Like, not slighting him at all, but they're always good there. I don't know if it's Rashid. I don't know if it's a system. I don't know what, but they're always good there. And as long as there's no big injuries, like I feel like I think Orange will be better, honestly.
I do. If you just
I think he may have beat Lee out anyways.
He was going to beat him out. Now, Isaiah probably would have played quite a bit because he was steady and he was solid. Isaiah was never going to be an NFL guy. Okay, or at least not a draft pick. Now, he'll probably make a camp. I mean, he was solid enough, but he's just, he's 6 foot. Dom Orange is 6'4", 340. Like, we just haven't seen a guy like that at Iowa State. And Onyedum's coming. Like, he's been really good. So, you can look at Iowa State and you go, oh my gosh, they lost so much of a team that only won 4 games, but you're not diving deep. And we've talked about it all summer that Iowa State's really going to surprise some people. And, Chris, I looked today at the SP Plus stuff, which I have a lot of respect for. And again, it's data at this point in the season. It's hard to really know because it's hard to account for transfers and everything else. But Bill Connolly's SP Plus is Iowa State beating UNI 31-14. That's pretty convincing. Now we'll see. So that might mean, and we haven't seen a point spread yet, that would lead me to believe that point spread may be more than we think it's going to be. Iowa State's defensive power rankings are so good, and I don't see it dropping a whole lot, at least early, until proven wrong. That your offense doesn't even need to be, again, I just keep coming back to it, C-Dub. The defense has a chance to be really good, and this isn't the Rhodes era where you were bad at both. Like, you are really good at defense. You hope they don't take a step back, and they might take a little one, but I don't
think the league's as good as it was in the Rhodes era either.
And that's the other part, is you still are playing the competition, and am I saying Iowa State's going to win 8 games? Absolutely not. I'm not that confident, but we did it last week. We did it all summer. You're going to be in these games, and who makes a play?
Feels like we all kind of jumped the shark last week. I feel like everybody just needs to have a Cody Road and chill out.
And I get it. I mean, the national media, again, I see it. You lost all your dudes from a team that won 4 games last year, but nobody watched play for play how good Iowa State was in a lot of those games and just chopped their own foot off.
I want to thank a couple of our sponsors. One of them's a guy who played really early in his career. He'd take some of that NIL money. Colin Newell. He'll be on Football and Random Things with Jeff Woody and Connor Ferguson. They are recording on Tuesdays this year, right before the Matt Campbell press conference, so you can look forward to that. But Colin, not only a great offensive lineman, great dude, really good insurance agent with Farm Bureau Financial Services. And he gives a donation to the We Will Collective for every Cyclone fanatic who lets him give you a quote. Usually, I think he has a pretty good hit percentage. If he gets you on campus, he's probably going to sign you.
He's a closer because his numbers are just really good. They're just better.
Yeah, my guy, Brent's guy, Colin Newell. I want to give a shout out to my buddy Jeff Kelderman at Kelderman Manufacturing. Mark, his right hand man, who tailgates next to. He's got a RV spot next to. That's how I met the Kelderman crew. Was at the RV Village. They're the pride of Oskaloosa. Actually, Oskaloosa right now is going, what? That's Jeff Kelderman's the pride. Yeah, seriously.
He is.
They're really good people, and I want all of you farmers to be aware of them as you get into harvest. We really think that this could be a deal, honestly, that we could tap something. One of my favorite things to do is to connect these small businesses and through our little Iowa State network here. And the Keldermans have been in business for decades now, but it was back in 77. Jeff's dad, he created what is called the Kelderman corn reel. It's the original down corn reel, and it can save a lot of money for you. It can save a lot of damaged corn for you. They are farmers themselves. They test everything out. So all of our great farmers who are listening, remember our friends at Kelderman Manufacturing in Oskaloosa this harvest season. I'm sure we'll see him on Friday night.
Are you prepared for what might await you from the Keldermans?
Yes, I'm always prepared.
Okay.
I have to take it easy on Friday night, though. We got an early morning on
It's going to be hot.
1 o'clock
So
game.
are we
Is it going to be really hot? I haven't even looked.
Have you even looked? Yeah, it's unfortunate, everybody. High of 93 on Saturday.
Jesus. Any chance of lightning?
Not in the forecast right now.
God.
We need McIntyre. Let's get McIntyre or Amber Alexander on the horn here.
Amber will have a forecast for us at Iowa Everywhere for the game. So
perfect.
Stay tuned.
Unfortunately, guys and gals, the next 2 Saturdays look very, very hot. Very, very hot. And both are afternoon games. So Iowa State cannot win. Because if you think about it, why did they move to the afternoon? Because we had the lightning delay in 18. Remember that? And the game got canceled. That was horrible. That was one of the worst.
And then that was what forced that awful Drake game.
Yes, all because of the lightning delay.
Oh.
So they moved it to the afternoon because then it gives you more leeway. And you saw it with the Vanderbilt-Hawaii game yesterday. That game got delayed because of lightning. Well, now you're potentially playing in 95-degree weather in the middle of the day, which is not great. So let's hope the heat breaks just enough. Although I'm not smart. Supposedly the humidity is not going to be awful. So it's not like going to be one of those 105-degree.
At least you don't have to sit in that press box anymore.
Well, there's air conditioning now.
Is that true?
Yes. I'm pretty sure it's true.
Well, that's huge. You just raised my morale.
I'm trying to weasel my way into one of the club sections.
Well, I mean, you know all the rich people. I feel like you could do that.
I don't know if they let Todd.
Do you know I almost died on Wednesday?
Yeah, the monsoon.
Monsoon in Vegas. You should have seen it. It was incredible.
Aiden survived though. Aiden babysat.
Yeah, he was fine.
We're
out there. Because I hate the Strip. Like I despise it. I don't even like going to it. Like it. And Aiden wanted to see all the big hotels, and it's like, well, you know, you have to see it to realize that they're all the same thing. And so I took him down there, and it starts spitting on us, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. It doesn't rain. And then all of a sudden, Brent, it's like hurricane downpour. And like the guy in the Uber who was taking us back to Circo was explaining, like, he's like, we don't have infrastructure for this. So the streets are just flooding, washing people away.
People died, right? Like, I don't mean to joke about it.
Yeah, some people did.
Between the monsoons and the street performers, you just don't know over there anymore.
Oh, the street. Just leave me alone. Just let me go for a walk. I don't want my picture with you. I don't. It's the last thing I want to do is give you $20 to take a picture with you.
Speaking of performers, you had some intel earlier this summer about the new entrance song.
Yeah, Lil Wayne.
Is it going to be? Is that fact?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, Matt Campbell told me that in Dallas.
Well, that's pretty good source.
But I also don't know if it had gone through like marketing yet.
Right. You know what song? It's not Lollipop.
I don't remember probably what it was called.
6 Foot No. Go DJ, probably not. The Mrs. Officer, no, it'd probably be a no-go.
I don't know what it was called. I don't listen to Lil Wayne.
I do.
Yeah, I don't know. And honestly, I don't.
We'll confirm for Wednesday.
I think I'm past the point of my life where I care about stuff like that. I think I've finally gotten old to be that guy.
I think you mean uniforms. Have you heard anything about uniforms? Like there's been no discussion.
I used to be the guy leading that charge.
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit anymore.
What happened? You've lost your fastball.
No, I mean, I still no. I still care more about the uniforms than I don't care about the entrance song.
Fair enough.
I think Paul Rhodes' entrance was so bad that it made me so irritated. Bum, 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 bum. It's like all the 65, 70-year-olds are, it was so bad. And I love Rhodes. Paul knows my thoughts on this. It's so bad that what is it? Deep Purple, who sings that?
Smoke on the Water.
Let me hammer this out for you. And I've made my opinions felt up at Iowa State, and I don't think they give a shit what I think, and nor should they. Correct. We need to lean into the siren.
More siren.
And I also was thinking about this last night. How cool would it be to have to pipe in thunder and lightning sounds?
Kind of like the wild, like K-State does the.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need to lean into the storm is brewing thing. That needs to be Iowa State's. That siren is badass. Like in Hilton, when everybody's up doing the jock jams, right, which are ridiculous, and we need to get rid of those too. But for some reason, Iowa State is the only institution in America that still plays jock jams. But our people love it. They're all standing up and cheering. They think it's awesome.
Do you bring the crank horn to Trice? Is there?
I'm not even criticizing whoever's making that decision. The Hilton crowd loves jock jams. They think it's the greatest thing in the world. They're all standing up and dancing to the beat.
The question. So we have some connections in charge of the music here. So and I know they're going to listen to this.
Yeah.
One of the great victories of this podcast.
Yeah, they got that trumpet song.
Was when the trumpet song played against West Virginia. It was
so good.
I mean, beating Iowa was the highlight number 1. The trumpet song coming on was probably highlight number 2. Highlight number 3 is when they played DMX when Xavier Hutchinson scored the first game.
God.
That was
somebody whoever did that deserves a raise.
Yep. But so we can't. X is gone. Is the trumpet? Are we past the point of the trumpet?
I'm still pro trumpet.
I think I'm pro trumpet. At least give me a little trumpet in the first game. Then we move on to something else.
I'm just saying, they've done a brilliant job incorporating that siren into things. I don't know who came up with that, but it was really smart when they did that. They need to lean into it more.
Okay.
Become annoying with that siren.
I agree. Like Boomer Sooner, but with sirens.
Yeah. It's just you're in Trice and just nonstop.
They, make the old people nervous and the toddlers nervous that there's a tornado coming.
Yes.
I can see my 5-year-old already freaking out, but that's what we need.
That's
we need to make
Iowa State's thing. Nobody else is doing that.
And
right?
There's been tornadoes during games. That hasn't happened everywhere.
So again, I think I'm past what is the entrance song? And my thing now is go all in on the siren.
So one thing that I was reading today, I wanted your opinion on this. The average college football game on Saturday was 6 plays less with the new clock rules. But the average time of a college football game was only 2.5 minutes less.
Yeah, this is stupid.
So we got more commercials and less football. Have we screwed this up?
Oh, thing is completely. I was talking with Mike Palm about this, and for those who don't know, Mike Palm is he's like a world-class handicapper. Okay, so he watches football in a totally different way than we do. He's looking at it all through analytics and whatever, and he actually thought it would make the games worse because he thinks generally in college, not everywhere, but generally in college you have younger offensive coordinators. It's not Bill O'Brien, right?
They're not going to be patient and let things play out.
He thinks that they will overcompensate and try and go faster now, and it'll make the games worse.
Interesting.
But I told him, I said, Mike, when is the last time you've sat in a game and not watched it on? Because he's used to watching it at Circa, where there's 15 different games going on.
On TV, it's fine. The time does not bother me on TV.
It is excruciating
Yeah.
in those
I,
stadiums.
and we haven't fixed that part, have we? I don't think we
No.
fixed that. I am already dreading in 95-degree heat looking at that guy with his red hat on, just standing there spinning his little clock.
Yeah, I think that this will be one and done. I think they'll change the clock rules back after this year.
The good news here, C-Dub, it's on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, that
So
helps.
the breaks are 45 seconds fewer.
That helps.
Technically, yeah. So that'll help move it along a little bit. This could actually be a game under 3 hours. Because you and I is going to want to run the ball too. So as I would say.
And I certainly can't see Iowa State throwing it all over the field.
I don't know what the over-under is going to be, but man, if it's, I'm guessing it's going to be less than 50 for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was thinking about
under
this.
40, it might be under 45.
Watching Ohio and sitting next to an insufferable Iowa fan all weekend watching these games. About really how ugly these first 3 games could get.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sold that these Iowa fans, you know, I'm like, Hassel, you got a fourth string receiver from Ohio State.
They were worse. Yeah.
Yeah. I just here's my deal. Like, is Cade McNamara a lot better than Spencer Petras? No doubt.
Well, yeah, so
that alone is. But can you imagine that Brian Ferentz is going to be cooking up these outrageous schemes all of a sudden? No way.
You raise a good point. This is interesting. If Nate Shieldhouse through the first 3 games could look like he's struggling, but I think all 3 could be super low possession, kind of muck it up type games. So I would caution people not to draw too many conclusions off of Nate Shieldhouse's style in those first 3
Well,
games.
yeah, because you know Iowa's going to be elite on defense.
They'll be good, yeah. They'll be good.
That Ohio game is going to be football vomit. Did you watch their offense?
Yeah,
they're not getting 200 yards against Iowa State.
Now with that backup, and they're
not.
Their defense,
they won't get 200 yards.
Was okay, and I think
they won't. They will not break 200 yards against Iowa State's defense.
I hope that's the case. And you and I is going to want to try and slow the game down, right? They want that thing to be 17-14.
Well, and they're going to get. I don't know. I'm not. I'm out of the predictions game with these Northern Iowa games. I don't know.
So one thing to keep an eye on here, their kicker's really good. He's the same guy that made a bunch of kicks a couple years ago. He's back. Cook is his name. So Chase Contreras is going to start. Is that a little breaking news for you? Yeah.
Not to our premium subscribers, but for the podcast listeners, absolutely.
Yeah. New kicker names for the opener.
Oh, I was also told I had a semi-angry email from a fan. I don't think he was mad, but he was clearly annoyed that I kept referring to Contreras as the kid from Nebraska. I apologize. He is not from Nebraska. He's from Iowa. He just happened to go to Nebraska, and he's not a kid. He's a young man. So, sir, I apologize. Thank you for qualifying that.
He's a Missouri Valleyan. What were they?
Western Iowa Conference.
What is Missouri Valley's nickname?
Called a lot of games there in my life. They're in that Trainer, Underwood.
Yeah, it's a good little community.
Tri-Center.
Are they the Warhawks? I want to say they're the Braves or the Warhawks, something like that.
Pride of Western Iowa. All right, I'm good on football. Are you? Should we do a little Big 12? Talk some Big 12?
Yeah, I think everyone's just like, all right, give me the season. Hey, we have analyzed. We're through gambling. Let's analyze this thing to death. Maybe it's me, and I'm an optimist. I'm more along the lines of Bill Connolly, where I think Iowa State actually is turned some heads in a positive way on Saturday. Wins comfortably.
Hassel thinks that Iowa State's going to win by 17.
I agree. Is that wrong?
Okay. No, that's fine.
I'm not trying to
we get so caught up on what's happened in the past. Now, let's say that spread came out at 17. There's no way I would bet on Iowa State.
Oh, I agree with that, but I'm just like,
Come on.
I think
What are you people like? Don't you learn from anything? Every time Northern Iowa comes, it's a absolute, nail biter.
Yeah, but in the slower games, I don't know. I'm still cautious, but I also think Iowa State has the depth advantage, and in a weird way, the heat will help Iowa
Yeah,
State.
no, that's a good point. Shout out to our friends at Whipple's Hybrids. They present our Big 12 segment each and every week here on Williams and Blum. We had a good meeting with our friends from Whiffles last week. I love the fact that they're an independent company. Do you know how much money they could have sold that company for over the years?
Oh
My
gosh,
God.
they're like, nope, keeping it local, keeping
I
it
love the
independent.
fact, too, what they're doing, where they're building this big plant in Ames, and they're really trying to invest in the Iowa State community. So that's a great company. We have a lot of Whiffles guys and gals who listen to the program. Shout out to each and every one of you. Give me so I was on the VSiN college football podcast
Nice.
with Tim Murray, and he was picking my brain on the Big 12. And Tim pretty all in on Texas to win the league.
Okay.
And I said this for they would have been one of my poll too, for what it's worth.
Yeah,
But
they should be number one on everybody's poll.
yeah. But again, Brent, it comes to the what's the difference part.
Yeah.
Like they're always more talented than everyone. Right now, okay, so Ewers is experienced there. He wasn't last year. We didn't really know. He's got some reps. I think their offensive line may be the best in the country.
And that's where they've gotten better.
When it's all said and done, that's where I was going with this. Like, if Texas is back, and I don't think they will be. I think they're like 10-2. And by back, I mean national championship contender, right? If they're back, like that's got to be why. Because it's like I'm not like, oh, Steve Sarkisian just flipped a switch in the offseason and now he's this brilliant leader of men. I don't buy that either.
Yeah. I agree. I think they do have the most talent of anybody in the conference. Okay. I mean, Quinn Ewers, if he has a year that people think he could, will be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. They have an offensive lineman that will go in the top 5. They probably have 3 of their offensive linemen that are first or second round picks at some point. They have gotten better. They have recruited well on the interior. Their defense towards the end of last year was really good, and they return a lot of those folks. They did lose Bijan Robinson, but they got some guys, some transfers in. They got a transfer receiver from Georgia to pair with Worthy. You look at their roster and you go, yeah, okay, that looks like a top 10 roster in college football.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with Texas has always been, the offensive line for one, but then when things got difficult, the thing fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if things get difficult, if the thing falls apart. And they still have road trips. I think they have to go to Alabama this year.
Boy, that road trip to Ames in November is terrifying to them.
Well, I
right
would
now.
be if I'm them. And they're going to overlook that thing. That thing.
The
has
way
all
we
the
think
ingredients.
Iowa State's going to play. Oh, circle that one, everybody.
Again,
I don't care what Iowa State's record is. Circle that game.
Same. And if there was again, it sounds kind of weird now, but if there's a point spread for that game, I would take it right now.
We got to get past that too.
I know we're if we now you can't even get Yakety Sax to play, so this is your own fault that we can't get past it. But
we are going to play guess the point spreads. That's coming up.
Texas should be the favorite, but the one thing why Oklahoma usually had some mental toughness when things got hard on the road. They would win those games. I don't know if Texas does yet. What has Steve Sarkisian done on the road to prove he can win a tough game on the road? Nothing. Like they blew one to Texas Tech last year.
That's what I said to Tim on the VSiN thing. It's like, I get it, Tim. They're more talented than the rest of the league, but they always are. Like that has not changed.
Yeah, they're gonna have the NFL Rookie of the Year this year. Bijan Robinson's like gonna win the Rookie of the Year. I don't think there's any question. So that's hard to replace. By the way,
heard of Will McDonald?
Yeah. Well, I mean, offense. Will get defense. Yeah, that's a lock. But yeah, I get the Texas hype. I see it, and they'll probably destroy their first opponent. But let's see how they respond after they lose to Alabama.
Can we
I
talk
think that'll
about
tell us a
Kansas
lot.
State?
Yeah, they're the Iowa State in the margins right now. Is what they are. And a reputable quarterback. See, so here's good point. K-State is an example of if you get a quarterback that can be competent, your offense can really take off. And Will Howard was really good last year, and he's back. But remember, 2 years ago he was horrible. So you can get better at that position with a new coordinator and some time in under the same tutelage. Are you buying K-State?
I don't know. They're a weird one to me. I really did my win-loss like dissect because they're just not overly talented. So
They're not.
this is, man, Brent, we've been fighting about Kansas State teams for 15 years. But my point is, like, you used the word margins, and you're exactly right. But if that dips a little bit, they could go to 7-5 really fast.
Yeah.
And that's the same way what we're saying. Iowa State could go 4-8 to 7-5 really fast if the margin thing happens. But we don't know, you know.
Yeah, and I have to look at their schedule, but there's going to be a lot of games in the Big 12 this year that are the point spreads are 3 to 5 points, and it's just like, who makes the mistake?
Is it time and then the other spreads? I'm on Texas Tech now. I like them.
Okay. They lost a bunch off a really good defense.
They lost 5 really good tackler. I get it, but I think they're going to be really good on offense.
I still can't get over the Oregon guys from that Fiesta Bowl during the COVID year saying the only thing you need to remember about Tyler Shuck is his last name rhymes with suck.
But
it's 3 years ago, though.
That's my thing when I look at them is he's a, 6th year guy now?
He's old. Yeah.
Like, he shouldn't, even if he's he's not Caleb Williams here.
No.
But he shouldn't lose games for you at that point, right?
That's fair. He's also not Rocco Becht or JJ Cole. He's played a bunch.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. And it is everybody's favorite segment, and it's finally back. And I'm so pissed off that I had the equipment problem, and we cannot play Yakety Sax. I promise you all that Yakety Sax will be back next week. Is that cool?
We're gonna have to take it.
We're gonna play Guess the Point Spreads, and our friends at Webwise are back to sponsor it. Oh my God, Kevin, my guy at Webwise, Kevin's great Cyclone. They built my 712 media site. They built Always Race Day for us. Like I always recommend these guys to my clients at 712 Media because, frankly, you know why I like them? One, they're clones, but they're up in Mason City. They don't charge like the big city.
Oh my
prices.
Gosh, some of these web companies are out of control.
Out of control. These guys are phenomenal. 2 Cyclone alums. They're really into what you've done too with We Will. They've been pretty big proponents. I always see Kevin. He's pretty sure Kevin was all over the place looking for Ames Lager. Saw that on Twitter or something like that. Yeah, like everybody else.
Keep buying it, everybody. Keep buying it.
All right, so we don't have Yakety Sax because of the equipment problems, but we will next week, I promise. I have not gone down this list of Big 12 games either. So I'm assuming, Blum, that you have not cheated.
I did not cheat. I avoided it because I was so excited. It's like Christmas.
This is going to be one of those weeks where we don't have all of them because of the FCS thing. Friday night, Missouri State is at Kansas. There is no point spread for this one because it's an FCS team. And that's the same thing for Iowa State as well. Here we go. Big noon kickoff on Fox. Prime time.
Oh, no.
Prime time. Colorado is at TCU. Guess the point spread.
Is this game at TCU or is it in like a neutral site?
It's in Fort Worth, yeah.
Oh. 24.
20.
Ooh. Loss.
That will be, if you can get it at 20, play it at 20, because I think that'll go higher.
Yeah,
I think it'll close closer to 24.
Okay.
Just my opinion. Arkansas State, the Red Wolves, are at Oklahoma.
Man.
These are brutal. I mean, come on.
Arkansas State.
These are absolutely brutal.
I have no idea. What is a red wolf? What's the difference between a red wolf and a different kind of wolf?
The ones are red.
27.
35.
Oh, that was
you were way off.
Way off. Samsonite.
Think Dylan Gabriel, how important was that injury last year? Is my question. Not enough to save them from being 6-7. Maybe they're 7-6.
I that's another team that I'm not buying. Now they will destroy Arkansas State though. So don't.
Well, that's another. Yeah. So the question I had I'm referencing this VSiN podcast I was on. I said to him, what would you put as your odds that Brent Venables ever coaches a game in the SEC? 50-50?
Yeah. He's got to win 8. He's got to win 8 games.
Will he? I mean, I don't know.
That's the number for him, 8.
All right, let's keep on trucking. Rice, the Owls are at Texas.
Oh, geez. Rice is horrible. 36.
Wow, not bad. 35.5.
Yeah, got it. Fastball's back, baby.
I know what I'm doing right here. I'm looking at UMass is a 39.5-point underdog at Auburn. I want UMass.
They look good.
Made some money on them on Saturday. Woo!
Their collective got chirpy on social media, and I loved it last night.
UMass has a collective?
Apparently. They were tweeting at like Elon Musk and who's Pat McAfee, other wealthy people.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
By the way, Lincoln Riley still doesn't have a defense. My God. How are they always so bad? How does this Alex Grinch still have a job?
I don't know.
Honestly.
He's a Campbell guy.
I know he is, but how does he still have a job? His defenses always suck. Everywhere he goes with talent, they're always bad.
That's a good point.
Every time. Has he ever had a good defense?
Like 1 year at Oklahoma, they caused a bunch of havoc, turnovers, but
Texas State is at Baylor.
Oh.
Isn't Texas State the school from the movie Necessary Roughness in the 90s?
Yeah, I think isn't Spatavall still there? Jake Spat anyway. 20.
25.
Oof.
Actually, it's up to like 27 now.
And no, Jake Spavital is not there anymore. I don't know who the head coach at Texas State is.
Our old friends from SEMO are at Kansas State. There is no line there. Where else are we at here? There's a lot of these Big 12 games without lines. This is a fun one. Actually, yes, this is this weekend. Sorry, I'm putting no, it's not. I'm already looking ahead to the second now. Is the second this weekend?
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah. Sorry.
Calendar.
Okay. Good one here. West Virginia at Penn State.
Yeah, I like this game. I like this game a lot. I'm going to say this point spread's like 18, but I like West Virginia if that's the case.
20.
Oh,
not bad.
That's my play of the week.
West Virginia is not nearly as bad as people were making them out to be either.
And his job is on the line, but I actually think they have some talent there.
Here's one. Texas Tech is at Wyoming.
Oh no, why are they going there? Ooh. Iowa State went to Wyoming once. It did not go well. Tech 13.5.
14. Not bad, sir. Okay. If you're a first-time listener, you need to realize we always guess the Tulane spread because that's my second favorite team. South Alabama at Tulane. This is a fascinating game. South Alabama, one of the predictors to win the Conference USA.
Yeah. Where's it at? Tulane?
It's at Tulane.
Tulane's 8.
6. Not bad. Doing pretty well here.
Yeah.
Sam Houston is at BYU.
Oof, I hope Sam brought some friends. They're not good. Are they Division 1 now? I don't know. Hard to keep track. 15.
20. Okie dokie.
Where's UCF? Who's got
it?
UCF got anybody?
I did not see a UCF line anywhere. Hold on. Central Florida.
Oh, they play Thursday, buddy boy.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah.
Kent State at UCF.
Yeah.
Give me a
22.
second. Okay, got it right now. I got
22.
it.
22.
33.
Whoa. Okay.
What about Houston? Did I miss Houston?
You did not say Houston. Man, we got to get – I am still like – we got an adjustment period.
Yeah, I feel like people just need to bear with us for a little bit. It's not. It's going to take us.
Oh, they got a good one. They got UTSA, buddy.
I don't see that spread.
I'm going to guess Houston's favored by 7.5.
Houston football is in a real tough period right now.
That'll be interesting.
I asked somebody who's really smart in the Big 12, not an Iowa State person, a Big 12 person, okay? I asked them over the weekend to rank the jobs in the Big 12 for me.
Okay.
They put Houston as the worst job in the Big 12.
Ooh. Oh, by the way, I found that line.
Yeah, what is it?
UTSA is a 1-point favorite.
Yeah, they're good.
Wow. Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
Isn't that shocking to you that person would tell me that, though?
Yeah, that's really weird. Is it? I don't necessarily agree with that, but
I thought it was fascinating. I don't know. I didn't.
Bunch of bandwagons.
Yep.
Well, here's a raw. Then we got to go. Here's my prediction. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Dana struggles this year. The next head coach at Houston is Tom Herman.
Oh, wow.
Bringing it back. Circling it back. Because he's at FAU.
He's at Florida Atlantic, yeah.
Yeah. I could see him going back to Houston.
Wouldn't you just want to stay at Florida Atlantic if you're Tom Herman?
Just
win that league every year.
Yeah,
live on the beach.
Yeah, I don't want to live in Houston. I know that. Most days.
It's like, God, like that'd be
terrible.
But
the talent is so much better there. I don't know. Interesting. Well, this was fun. Football season.
Does Cincinnati have a game?
Probably. This is not going well.
Eastern Kentucky at Cincinnati.
Oh,
they don't have
a point spread. That's the Jaden Higgins team.
I think they're going to suck.
Eastern Kentucky?
No, Cincinnati.
Yeah, a bunch of transfers. To be determined.
All right. Good, clean fun right there. Well, we're back, baby. We're back. We'll be back on Wednesday as well.
Can you at least bring Sachs back for Wednesday just so I can?
Well, we will work Yakety Sachs into the program on Wednesday, I promise.
Thank you. All right.
He's Brent Blum.
Cheers.
My name is Chris Williams, and we'll be back on Wednesday for you. A lot in between then as well here on the Cycle and Fanatic Podcast Network.